How's it, pilots, and welcome again to another ship breakdown video. And before I get into the video, I just want to say thank you again for all the views, the comments, and all the extra subs, because those go a really long way to helping the channel and the content to really grow. Now then, recently I came across an interesting channel. It's got some excellent threading tutorials and lore videos from the Freespace universe. The channel in question is SilverAngelX. So, when you guys get a chance to, please check it out because the lore videos are exceptionally well made. Short though, but to the point though, and they're a great listen to, especially when you're driving like myself. I'll leave a link below to the channel, so please guys, go check it out. But for now, let's get on to the next part in the series. From Triton Dynamics, we have the GTF Ulysses, the protagonist of Homer's Odyssey, the Greek commander who helped with the destruction of Troy, encountered the nymph Calypso, the witch Circe, the Cyclops Polyphemus, the Vortex Charybdis, and other creatures and locations during his 10-year-long travel back to Ithaca. His dog was named Argo. So you can see how all these names kind of fit in the Freespace universe. The GTF Ulysses was a joint venture between both the GTA and PVN Sciences, and was brought into service during the Great War. Due to its high speed and agility, the Ulysses enjoys an exceptionally long service life, all the way into the Second Shivan incursion. Despite having thin armor, weak shields, and a low secondary capacity, it was still a fantastic fighter though, and it was actually very well designed for its time, and to be honest, it actually helped to design the Myrmidon. Hell, even the Neo-Terran front was even known to use these guys in a small number, but still, they used them for their rebellion. Having the nickname the Bat by its pilots, it's an exceptionally well designed craft and was very much favoured by all that flew them. This fighter was also the only fighter at the time that could come close to the Shivan fighter Dragon in terms of agility, but secondaries were small on this though, and it couldn't mount cannons like the Kaiser, but it could mount every other cannon in the first game and most in the second, which is actually not bad for a ship of its age though, if you think about it in that sense. The shielding of this fighter was actually amazing, almost double the shielding capacity of the newer Serapis fighter of the Vasudans. While that ship did have twice the missile capacity, but still, this ship actually was exceptionally well designed though, and to be honest though, I think if this had had a Mark II, it would have been even better. Even when I look at the veteran comments, they would actually state that this fighter was actually on par with the Valkyrie, while because it had a much lower profile compared to that of the Valkyrie's heavier hull and its primary guns were exceptionally well placed. The Valkyrie may have been faster, but the Ulysses was far more agile, and that is what made it a proper space superiority fighter, even calling it an advanced space superiority fighter, and that could take on most things pretty well, especially if it was in a fleet with other ships that could actually make up for its weaknesses. Personally, it's a fighter that I would take in a heartbeat though. If I had the chance between that or the Myrmidon, I would probably go with the Ulysses, because also let's not forget the Ulysses can also mount anti-fighter missiles like the Interceptor and the Harpoon, while the Myrmidon could not. Not too bad if you think so. And now we move on to the GTB Ursa, the big bear of the bombers, as it derives its name from Ursa Major and minor constellations. The name often translates into English as the Great Bear and Small Bear, but there ain't anything small about this heavy bomber. Again, from Han Ronald Corporation, again being the first bomber designed specifically for the purpose of annihilating capital ships of any size, carrying a massive payload, being the only bomber capable of its time of delivering the GTM N1 Harbinger bomb. Being the slowest and least agile fighter in the fleet, they were pretty easy to pick off on the enemy side with a couple of interceptor missiles. And the thing is, would you believe that this thing cost as much to build as it was to buy a small moon? So all of these things needed as much fighter cover as possible. Like the Medusa bomber, this one was also equipped with a defensive turret that funny enough fired a Banshee cannon in Freespace 1 kinda pointless, but in Freespace 2, its turret was upgraded to use the Kaiser cannon, so it made its turret a lot more powerful. With a rack of Helios bombs, in addition to a standard complement of Hornet Swarm missiles and a Prometheus cannon, a squadron of Ursas could take out a destroyer with relative ease. Ursas have the highest amount of shielding of any bomber in the fleet, along with a GTVI designed hyper-dense hull, ensuring that the Ursa is able to get close enough to its target, deliver the payload, and even survive the escape of the detonation of said payload. The Ursa's high amount of shielding and armor are, however, no protection against interceptors. Let's just be clear on that. That is why these bombers must always have an escort. It is also noted that the Ursas and all bombers' turrets do not fire upon marauding ships, but they only fire on the bomber's current target, making it useless against multiple targets. I find personally that mounting something like a Maxim cannon on the first slot and loading up on Cyclops torpedoes, the Ursa is hands down the best ship in Freespace 2 for destroying anything bigger than a cruiser. Secondary weapon compatibility is actually better than that of the bow and Ares. Having a bank of Tempest or Harpoons can actually make a big difference when trying to turn hostile fighters into an expanding ball of gas. The bow and Ares cannot mount either of those. Although this bomber was great in its own way, though newer bombers would eventually replace it, it was still a great bomber in my opinion though, and probably the best thing to take down the Lucifer, and that is what it was specifically designed for, killing the Lucifer. Alright, if you've made it to this part in the video guys, thanks all for watching though. The next video is actually going to be based in the Silent Threat universe, so the two ships we will be looking at there is the GTF Loki and the GTB Zeus from GTR during the Hades Rebellion. If you have any questions or want a specific ship covered in these little videos, please leave a comment on here or check out my Twitter and I will take a look. Thank you all again pilots, and I'll see you in the next video.